Hello. I'm back. It fixed. Holy crap. Does this sound normal? I believe we get the right one. Hi, Jim. This is Chrono Trigger, not Paper Mario. This is way before Paper Mario was a thing. What the hell was that? Jeez. I gotta tell you. I gotta tell you, man, if you are waiting till now to start asking questions, what's the splash tag? I don't know what to tell you at this point. I don't know what to tell you. These are questions that would have been useful to me yesterday. Not 5 minutes before registration closes. I don't know what to tell you guys. I don't know the answer to that, quite honestly. It would help if you had a copy of Splatoon 3. Jim, when are you gonna play in low ink? I mean, not this month. If you put in a sub application in the next 3 minutes, it'll get approved probably. There's no way you will though. Oh my gosh. I cannot believe it. We've been open. Registration has been open for 20 days. In this final minute is when people start asking questions. Probably. Alright, let me close registration real quick. We'll get this started. Air sign, if you're in chat, I got you. Hello, Luffy. Alright, that's enough help desking. I don't get paid for help desk. I get paid for whatever this is. I hope. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Popcast. Whenever you're listening to this, whether it be live or a VOD, Twitch or YouTube, or Spotify, while you are begging your teammates to wake up so that you can fix their splash tags, dropping your splashes in the favor of using a T-Tech, missing 4 straight extra points in an NFL playoff game and somehow not getting cut for it. Whatever it is that you're doing right now, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to this. Unless I don't. One thing I want to comment on real quick, other than the fact that I'm using my wife's tablet to look at my notes today instead of my usual little easel that I got, so my head's going to be pointed more towards this angle than this angle that you might be used to me seeing, so get used to me looking like this most of the time. I spent more time looking at Ludi groups this past week than I have as of late, both for research for the Popcast and for verifying you idiots for Low Ink. I've been keeping up with the season as it goes along, mainly just the score report channel that's on Ludi's Discord. and not so much like the actual groups of like, okay, this team's definitely making the playoffs, or this team's in a situation where they can try to make the playoffs, or something like that. I haven't been keeping up with that until this past week. One thing I've noticed, and it's not really a surprise to me, but it always is kind of, when you see it, when Ludi happens once a year, it shouldn't really be a surprise, but it is still kind of like eye-opening whenever you see it. The amount of teams that have just straight up dropped deuces and said bye and dropped straight out of Ludi in some of these groups is pretty comical. You got some groups that are just halfway gone, completely halfway gone with the teams that have signed up and dropped out of that one. And I just want to comment on that real quick. And I feel like I've been pretty consistent with my mindset with these kinds of things. I never really condone people dropping once they've been eliminated from contending for a certain thing that they've been going after. I don't condone it, but at the same time, I don't really condemn it either, because I get it. If you're a team that wanted to make playoffs in your Ludi group and you don't make playoffs, and it's like obvious you've been mathematically eliminated by after like week 2 or 3, which is not possible to be mathematically eliminated after week 2, but you'd have to need some tiebreakers to work in your favor for that to happen. I don't blame people for saying, I'm not making playoffs. I'm not going to keep playing week 4 and 5. This is a drag. Ludi is a drag. It is very draining. Its scheduling is very stressful. And when there's nothing on the line other than pride, it can be I can see a lot of people just checking out and saying, let's screw this. This project wasn't working anyways. Let's just go play pickups in SOS or whatever. So I just wanted to point that out, that I've seen some people talking about people dropping out of Ludi, and I saw some other people mentioning, I think it was like the Proton John League or something like that, where Photon John, if you drop from that tournament, you get banned from life or something. And I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, you get whatever you want out of Ludi. Would it be nice if everybody played all the way through and was true to the process? It was frustrating. One season, we played the number 1 team in our group and we beat them. We came back. We won 4 straight games, beat them 5-4. They were by far the toughest team in our group. And then they lost the second week, and then they lost immediately after that. Or no, they lost the second week and then they dropped immediately after that. It was frustrating because it's like, if these guys keep playing all the way through, they're going to beat some of the other teams that we play against, and it's going to make it easier for us to get to the playoffs. But no, we were one of the few teams in our group to actually play the toughest team in our group. And once they got mathematically eliminated, they dropped. We ended up 5-0ing our group anyways. It wasn't easy, but we did it. But it's still, I can still get some frustration of like, man, you guys didn't actually play all the way through. But I just wanted to comment that because I've been seeing people mention it. I don't condone it and I don't condemn it at the same time. As far as low ink is concerned, I would hope that's the main reason you're here. If not, hi. If it should come to no surprise to you guys that this is one of the biggest low inks ever. I don't think it's technically going to be the biggest low ink we've ever had. I don't think it's going to break October. As of right now, we have 189 teams. I think we started October with 170 some odd teams. 170 on the dot is what we had after drops and everything. More than 19 teams are going to be dropped probably today, probably by the course of this episode. So many of you failed horribly at just putting in your splash tags. It's a thing where I don't want to sit here and hold your hand and be like, hey, here's your another daily reminder that you need to do this. But there were a lot of people that just didn't get their splash tags figured out. And we can't ping everyone directly until you get the captain roles. Like, I could do some really deep diving research into figuring out who's the captain of each team and what their Discord is and ping them individually. Like, I could do that. It would be time consuming, but I could go the extra mile. But my logic is, if you're not going to go the extra mile to read through the rules and figure out that you need to have the splash tags initially, why would you expect me to do the same exact thing? So we're not going to hold people's hands with the splash tag stuff. You either get it entered or you don't, and you'll get the message and you'll do it next month. But because of that, there's going to be more drops than usual. At least from what I was seeing initially when I was looking at the sheet last time, before I went live right now. So I expect the thesis of this is I expect this not to be more than 170 teams than what we had at the end, at the beginning of the last Lowink. Now, to get to an epsilon bracket, we would have to, I believe we have to end Saturday with 160 teams, because we want roughly half of our teams to make Sunday. And if you end with 160 teams and you throw in an epsilon bracket on top of a delta, on top of a gamma, beta, and alpha, that's 80 teams. So when we finish with 160 teams, that's going to be iffy, but the possibility of epsilon bracket is in play. It just depends on, you need the help of your fellow idiots in chat to pull that off. And history has shown you that is not a good bet that you want to be taking. We'll see how it goes, though. We'll see how things go. I guess that's all there's really to be said. There's Squid Junction's happening tomorrow. If you're banned from Low Ink or you want some practice before Sunday, sign up for Squid Junction. We heart Squid Junction around here. Also, after Low Ink on Sunday, I'm going to be commentating. I don't know if I'm supposed to announce this or not. I'm going to anyways. Falco can scold me later if I wasn't supposed to. But I'm going to be commentating along with K-Bot the Cherry Limeade versus Michelin Hero set on the Ludi tonight. So I'm commentating grand finals of Low Ink and then commentating basically a Div 1 playoff, play-in for a playoff set, I believe. I think there's some sort of circle of suck going on in that group where if Cherry Limeade were to beat Michelin, they'll be maybe not guaranteed a spot on their Div 1 playoffs, but they'll be very comfortably in a comfy position to do so. So be on the lookout for that, I guess. I don't know. We're going to be previewing Low Ink today. We're going to be talking about a whole mess of teams. A lot of teams that are playing in their first ever tournament, and a lot of teams that are going to be in my top 10 who are going to win this upcoming tournament. We're going to be talking about you guys. Most of you, maybe not most of you, 189, okay, maybe like 20% of you, and maybe only about 10% of that 20% actually listens to the podcast. Who knows? We're talking about you guys. But first, if you are a devoted fan of the Popcast, if you've been listening to every single episode, which I know you have, you might recall the October 2022 preview of Low Ink that I did, where I talked about how absolutely stressful, how unbelievably stressful it was leading up, preparing for that Low Ink. At the time, it was the biggest Low Ink by far. To give you some context, 170 teams played in that one. At the end of registration, I believe we were at like 190. The amount of teams that played in the Low Ink prior to that one in September was 84. So we went from 84 to 170, almost 100 additional teams in one night. That was when we were scrambling to figure out what we were going to do. How are we going to make this format work? How are we going to make sure the 5-1 teams have a chance to still play for something other than beta bracket? How are we going to get through this? How are we going to survive a help desk that's going to be full of people that have no idea what's going on playing in their first tournament? I was stressing the heck out for that October Low Ink. I talked about how I lost sleep, how I wasn't really sleeping well that entire week. I was talking about how I was not convinced that the tournament was going to meet my personal standard as one of the TOs for that event, and that would have really bothered me if the tournament did not meet what I want this tournament to particularly be. This time around, though, we're basically facing the same exact situation as October. The same size, the same format adjustment that needs to be made, the same amount of new people playing in their first ever tournament. Nintendo doesn't count. Those aren't actual tournaments. I don't even know what you call those things. Their first actual legit tournament. So this is a lot of similarities to October. Am I stressing out? Is this the second most stressful thing I've ever done in my life as far as competitive Splatoon is concerned? Nope. Nah, I'm good, bro. I am so chill about this low ink. This is going to be an absolute cakewalk of a low ink to run. It really is. It's not going to be difficult at all. And there's a reason for that. Let's get a little deep here on the Popcast. Let's get a little personal. I know some of you guys are a little bit younger. I know some of you are a little bit older, a little bit more experienced with life. Here's some things that I've noticed being somebody who's lived on planet Earth for the past 32 and a half years. Fear. Fear is based on the unknown, the uncertainty of the future. I will admit, I wake up every Monday morning scared. I don't know why. I know what's going to happen. It's going to be a chill day. Every single Monday I've had for the past 3 weeks or 3 years or so since I've been doing the Popcast, even though it's frustrating at times writing for the Popcast, it's not that big of a deal, but I still wake up. Just the unknown of the week ahead scares me. I wake up a little bit fearful of that. But fear is based on the unknown, uncertainty of the future, or just straight up lack of knowledge of something. Same thing when it comes to having no confidence. You go into any kind of situation and you don't have any kind of confidence. You're fearful how you're going to go through things. How do you gain confidence, though? Confidence is something that can be attained by experience. The more experience you have in something, the more confident that you're going to be going into that thing. Case in point, I would assume the vast majority of you are pretty confident in going number one in the restroom. I would assume most of you don't go into the restroom fearful or lacking confidence that you can hit the target in the bowl or the urinal. I feel like you guys can do that. You probably got a lot of confidence in that because you got a lot of experience in that. The first time you probably played in a competitive Splatoon tournament, you were probably had no idea what to expect. You probably were a little bit fearful of how you were going to go through things. But the more tournaments you play in, the more experience you get dealing with TOs and help desks, dealing with issues on Battlefield, dealing with your idiot teammates, making sure they're waking up at a time, the more confident you are across the board in how you deal with all of that stuff. This upcoming weekend, I know what to expect. I know how to deal with every single issue that can arise. I know how to handle people in help desks that are coming there and genuinely asking questions because they're having their first ever tournament experience ever in our low ink tournament. I know how to change the report the score issues because you guys are all going to report the incorrect scores every single time. It blows my mind. Honestly, it absolutely boggles my mind. Or maybe it used to, how low ink players, for whatever reason, when you guys win a set, just fail to give yourself the point on Battlefield. You always just give it to the other team on accident. Like, how can you guys be that confused about if you won the game or not? Like, how do you guys go through life like that? Like, are you guys in high school and that the cute girl in your class, like the crush of your dreams, like she comes up to you and she asks you out on a date for the first time? What do you guys just like panic in those situations? And she's like, "Hey, do you want to go out with me?" And you're just like, "Screw you, bitch! No, wait, no, sorry, no, I meant to say yes. I'm sorry. Oh no, I got confused. I got stressed underneath the pressure. We can go to a help desk. We can get a TO. We can fix this. Come back, please, come back." Like, is that how you guys go through life? It has to be if you fail that miserably at reporting the score for such simple things. I know how to fix those kinds of issues, though, is the point that I'm getting at. I'm ready for this. I was built for this. And believe it or not, I did the math on this. This is my 32nd straight low ink that I've been a part of. after my team won it in March 2020. 22nd straight low ink. My partner in crime, JPEG's been doing it even longer than me. I would know, maybe 40 low inks is what JPEG is on right now. Like, we're so experienced with this thing that nothing really surprises us anymore. And I know this is a knock on wood kind of moment, to where it's saying, oh, something brand new is going to happen, some new incident. But I mean, at the end of the day, even when the incident happened, we kind of had an incident last month, we figured out how to go through it. We figure out how to deal with it. We know how to pull things out of our ass that makes everything work at the end. So I'm not worried about this upcoming weekend. I know everything's going to work out, and I know everything's going to be just fine. And more important than that, I know that you guys are going to have a good time. How do I know that you guys are going to have a good time with that? It's because this is your tournament. This tournament doesn't belong to me. It doesn't belong to JPEG. It doesn't belong to Hoenn and Kraken, who were the two that initially created this tournament many, many moons ago. It doesn't belong to IPL either. This tournament has transcended all of that. This tournament belongs 100% to you guys. The community, the Splatoon community, has adopted low ink and made it their own. I say that because the 189 teams that we got this upcoming tournament, the amount of marketing that we did for this tournament is non-existent. I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, JPEG, did we even make a single IPL tweet like, hey, low ink is this upcoming week? Like, we do our pings, but we didn't really do a whole lot of noise making to promote this event. Yeah, I make my usual memes throughout the course of the month, as I always do, but we didn't do like a hard, purposeful, full frontal attack marketing to try to drum up as many teams as we could. Instead, you guys do that. The marketing that is done for this tournament is the community now. And that's word of mouth. And this is a tournament that's going on during the middle of Ludi season. Genesis is happening this weekend. In fact, as soon as this is done, I'm going to go watch Genesis. I don't care about any Splatoon stuff. I want to see Genesis play Melee. I love that tournament. I hate that it's going on at the same time as low ink. But it's you guys that spread the rumor about this tournament. And that's why it's funny whenever somebody gets banned from low ink and we go through and we DM all those teams, hey, you've been banned. What do all those teams do? They all take the screenshot of me DMing them and they put it on Twitter. And it is not lost on me that that is happening. That is why I'm as brief and as straight to the point as possible whenever I DM somebody they're going to be banned from low ink, because I know every single word I'm sending to them is getting screenshot and put on Twitter. If you have a DM conversation with somebody, you are not having a private conversation with that person. You are having a conversation with everybody. You just don't realize it yet, because everything you send in a DM, you should assume should be posted all over Twitter. Because in my case, whenever I talk to you guys, that's exactly what happens almost every single time. But whenever you guys get banned from low ink and you bring your screenshots to Twitter, it gets lots of thumbs ups. It gets a lot of people congratulating. And then you see somebody who's just like, wait, why is everybody congratulating this person from being banned from a tournament? Like, what is that? Why would you be excited to be banned? Does that mean you're a jackass? No, actually, somebody will come in and say, no, being banned from low ink is a good thing. This is what low ink is. Here's the link to the tournament. And then that other person's like, oh, cool. And you guys spread the word of low ink like wildfire across the cosmos. You guys invite your friends to do it. Whenever your friends start playing in tournaments or they start even thinking about competitive, you guys are like, hey, here's this tournament that I used to play in back when I was eligible for low ink, or here's this tournament that I play in called low ink. You might be interested in this. And we drum up so much support. I know it's like that Because in theory, Little Squid League should be massively bigger than us every single time. SAC should be massively bigger than us every single time. They actually put forth effort. They put so much into their stream, into their marketing. They put so much love into their tournament. And I'm not sitting here saying we don't do the same thing for Low Inc., but the difference is you guys put so much passion and heart into this one tournament that it does all the work for itself. Low Inc. is your tournament. So that's why I'm not really stressed about this. It's going to be fine. Are there people that are going to complain? Of course. People are always going to complain. As I pointed out on Monday, even when you do the right thing, people are going to complain about it. Somebody could say, I want an Oreo cheesecake. And I could go to I could open up the heavens and have God deliver the Oreo cheesecake to end all Oreo cheesecake. And I could give it to you. And the first thing that you're going to say when you get it is, well, I should be a div above this. What is this kind of stuff? And it's like, okay, fine. There's no pleasing you. You get that. At some point, you start to just not be numb to criticism, but you start to be able to separate, okay, what's actual good criticism and what's this person just venting because they got eliminated earlier than what they would have hoped that they would have been. If you give feedback 2 minutes after you get eliminated from a tournament, I guarantee you that feedback you gave sucked. I guarantee you that feedback was not good. If you gave feedback a day after you get eliminated from the tournament, that's when I'm like, oh, this person thought about it. It really stung. They went to sleep and they woke up the next day and it still bothered them. There might be something actually seriously to look into. So we're going to deal with complaints until we die. And after me and JPEG are dead and gone from this world, people are still going to complain about something we did during Low Inc. It's just going to be the case. It's fine. Part of experience, you deal with it. But I'm looking forward to this weekend. It's going to be fun. I know for a fact you guys are going to have a fun time as well. And if you're not, if the tournament does suck, or for whatever reason, just remember, it's not my tournament anymore. It belongs to you guys. It's your fault if things don't work out. Ugh. We covered a lot of stuff there. We talked about rejecting your crush, using the bathroom, cheesecake from God. There's a lot of important things that we talked about right there. How about some of the teams that signed up for this tournament? As always, there is 189 teams. There's no way I'm going to talk about every single one of these teams. I'm going to pick out a few that I think are kind of interesting to me to talk about. Now, if I don't mention your team, guess what? If you do good this weekend, I always give you credit on Monday. I catch everybody that pops off at Low Inc. throughout this tournament, and on the Monday recap episode, I talk about you. But here's the teams that I'm going to talk about beforehand. First off, the amount of new teams that we have, I believe I counted 40 in the 40s range, like lowerish 40s, as far as teams that are just brand spanking new in this tournament. Either they're not Smurfs, all right? Some of you guys complain that there might be Smurfs in tournament. There's only been, in the past 2 years, there's been like one case where we thought somebody might actually be. Nobody really Smurfs in the Low Inc. There's nothing to gain from it. There's no prize. You're just wasting your entire weekend just to jeopardize getting a splat safety ban. So I don't think that really happens that much. We still search through and catch those kinds of things. But we got about 40 teams that are legit, brand new to Low Inc. Some of the team names for these new teams that are coming out here. First off, Mediocre Esports. That's a great name. Just coming out right off the bat and just saying, we suck, but we're an esport. Fair enough. Mediocre esports will keep an eye on you. If they do good, though, I think you got to request that their team name change a little bit. Maybe they like get a little bit better and they're like intermediate esports, and then they win low ink, and then they're just like, we're automatically Div 4 esports, even though that's not how that works, or something like that. Mediocre esports, though. Welcome to your first low ink. MOP. That is an acronym, MOP. So it is MOP. But why is it an acronym? What does MOP actually stand for? My best guess is it stands for My Only Friend, with friend having the silent P in it, kind of like Pterodactyl has a P in it. Michelle Pfeiffer has a P in her last name. So I'm assuming this is My Only Friend P with a P in that friend there. Because what else could that MOP stand for? 23 frames. Somebody here has to get that reference. If you get the reference of why they would call themselves 23 frames, leave a highlighted message in chat as to why. I'm not like, this isn't a riddle. I'm not trying to quiz you guys. I honestly don't know, but I'm assuming there's some sort of reference in the game that where like something only lasts for 23 frames or something like that. So maybe you guys would know, but they're a new team for this. The team name Pop-Tart. Man, I haven't had Pop-Tarts in a while. I used to destroy brown sugar Pop-Tarts like they were going out of style. Like they were going to be eliminated from this planet soon. I was just downing them back when I was in my younger days. Funny story, there's this game we were playing on Thanksgiving. Some sort of game where like you flip over a category and you got to say like as many things as you can with that category before like a certain time has passed or something like that. So my dad flipped over the category and it said pop stars. And instead of like listing off Mariah Carey, Ariana Grande, and like, I guess those are the only two pop stars, he thought it said Pop-Tart. So he just started screaming off Pop-Tart flavors, cherry, brown sugar, blueberry, and we're just all laughing up and cracking at him. That's what I think of whenever I see the name Pop-Tart now. But we stand pop teams around here. There's a team called This Is Fine in all capital letters. By the way, if your team name has an exclamation point in it, do you really want us all to like be super excited when we say your team name? Because there's a lot of teams that have that. This team's in all caps. This is fine. Yep. If you are playing in your first tournament in this low ink, I hope you have a good time. Odds are you're going to get odds are this is going to be an ass whooping with a potential to become an ass whooping deluxe if it gets a little bit out of hand, which is fine. A lot of teams get destroyed their first time playing in low ink. It's fine. You get better. You move along down the road. Eventually you win it like a year or two later. This Is Fine, I think, knows what they're signing up for. Day old. There's two day old teams here. And none of them are Day Old Sushi or Day Old Tofu, which signed up, I believe, last month. Instead, we got Day Old Sashimi and Day Old Gyoza. I probably mispronounced it. I had it in my notes here. Ask wife how this word is pronounced. I forgot to do that beforehand. Why is there so many day old things? And do you guys realize Day Old Sushi is a clan of people where the minimum age requirement to be a part of it is 25. You have to be at least 25 years old to even be a part of Day Old Sushi. Does that same principle apply to Day Old Sashimi, Day Old Tofu? I have no idea. But there's a lot of day old teams that are popping up in these tournaments all of a sudden. Natural Selection. My gosh, that is a serious name. Natural Selection. Okay, I wouldn't call that edgy, but I would definitely call that a super serious name. Yes, doctor, that is the same exact word. Gyoza. What's a gyoza? Is that like a D's Nuts joke that I just set myself up for? Is that a Bofin joke? Whatever. Natural Selection, my goodness. Now, that's enough of the new team names. How about some teams that I believe actually existed for a little bit here? There's a little bit different section here that I want to go through. Before we get to some actual more well-known teams, what is our fascination with space in the Splatoon community? Yes, it's so many teams have the word ink, I-N-K in their name. So many teams use that. There's a team called Ink Inked. There's 2 Monsters Inked teams. I don't think either one of them signed up this month. But there's just a lot of ink. We know that. But if you don't have ink in your name and you don't have cephalopod in your name, you probably have something space related in your name for whatever reason. Remember Starburst, Supernova at the top level. There's a team called Comet. But how about the teams that are here in low ink? We got Alliance Moon, Splash Moon, the Moon Stars. So maybe it's just the moon. Maybe we have a fascination with the moon. No, Arctic Moon isn't here. They disbanded last year. Galaxy Squids. Hey, those teams are actually pretty good. They made Gamma in October. I bet they'll do a little bit better this time around. And the Star Squids. Hey, Star Squids, they made Alpha Bracket. So they're actually a pretty good team. But what is our fascination with the moon? In space in general with the Splatoon community? I don't understand. Is there any other space themed thing that hasn't been touched yet? There's got to be a team that called themselves Black Hole at some point. But for whatever reason, even though space has absolutely nothing to do with this game, there's no like, ooh, what if there was like a low gravity stage in like a Splatfest or something? A low gravity shifty station. You know what? With lag, sometimes it feels like some of the players are not being governed by the same rules of gravity. Sometimes you see somebody just fly off into the sky. Maybe that's why you guys love the space stuff so much. Alliance Move is a Div 10 team, by the way, playing in their first tournament. I don't know anything about Splash Moon. Moon Stars made Gamma Bracket last month. Congrats to them. Some of the more other teams that are going to be coming up here that I want to mention. First off, not your, but my Lag Paradise. As of the last time that I checked, and I'm going to check one more time just to make sure, because they always do this. No, they're still signed up. They're still signed up. My Lag Paradise has survived registration. Will they actually play tomorrow? Remains to be seen. I don't know about that, but as of right now, 8:36 p.m. Eastern time, and I know where they live. It's deep into Saturday morning. I appreciate you guys staying up. They're still signed up for the tournament. That alone feels like a dub for this team that was a contender to win it several months ago. My Life Paradise, play the damn tournament. Come on, guys. Let's go. We'll see you guys make Alpha Bracket again. Ink Divers Deco. Who is the Ink Divers Deco? This is one of the teams that my team, back when we were known as Sploot Troops, used to play a long, long time ago. I haven't seen Ink Divers Deco play in forever. I think they quit Splatoon and they moved on. I want to say they went on and became a Ninjala team. Or there was some other like competitive game that came out right around that. I want to say they became a competitive Ninjala team for at least a little bit, but they're coming back here. Welcome back, Ink Divers Deco. Squid Strikes. You guys should know who Squid Strikes is. If you don't, you should pay more attention to the things I say on the Popcast, even though half the time I don't pay attention to what I say here. Squid Strikes is the team that failed to beat the team that ended up winning all of Little Squid League last tournament, and then in the group stage. And in the last Little Squid League, if you didn't win your group, you didn't make gold bracket. So they lost one game, 2-1 to the team that won the whole tournament. They lost them in group stage, fell down the silver bracket, and then Squid Strikes just took out their frustration on a bunch of people that could not hold their weight against them, and Squid Strikes ripped silver bracket apart. We'll see how they do in this tournament. We'll be keeping an eye on them. Enveloping Ink. I don't think I've ever talked about Enveloping Ink. However, I looked back and noticed this is the 5th straight time that they've signed up for Low Ink. So when you sign up for Low Ink that many times, eventually somebody's going to start talking about you, and this will be the first time. I don't have anything else to say about Enveloping Ink other than that. Maybe we'll find a way to put them on stream at some point this upcoming weekend. I was so excited about Squid Strikes that I put them down here twice on my list. but I'm not going to talk about them twice. Polyamorous Gamership. I want to give a little bit of a shout out to them. I probably should have these guys in my honorable mention, to be honest with you. They won Gamma Bracket 2 tournaments ago, and they made Alpha Bracket last month. And I think they got a couple of wins in Alpha Bracket as well. But they're not quite ready for top 10 potential. I just want to see them do it again. All right, you did it last time. We'll see you do it again. Then you'll catch my attention. The Radical Dreamers, I want to mention them just because I like them, as I always do, and I have nothing else to add on top of that other than hello to the Radical Dreamers in chat. You guys have given me chocolate. You've given me a hat. What's next? What's the other thing that should be brought to TOs? You can't really go long with giving us clothes and food. But as long as they continue to do that, I'll always be a big fan of Radical Dreamers. Fresh Start is a new team, but if you look closely, if you get your glasses on, you look closely at this Fresh Start team, you'll realize who they actually are. It uses mostly TNGP. And what does TNGP stand for? Team name, guys, please. I remember some of these things every now and then. They're not playing with Stella. Stella is a former Div 2 player, a really strong player. Not saying the rest of these players for Fresh Start are not strong in their own rights. They'll prove that this upcoming weekend. Virtuous Divine. That is a mouthful. What is that? Virtuous Divine. This is a team that has Girl Boss from Banana Basics, a player from June, and a player from Organized Chaos, as well as somebody else that I didn't recognize. But a newer-ish team, let's say beta potential, probably makes top 32, might have the potential to escape top 32 into the alpha bracket stage, who knows. But Virtuous Divine is the team you'll want to be keeping an eye on. How about Combo? If we want to bring in things together, Combo is a team made up of players from a bunch of other different teams, notably, well, actually, I forgot to write down all the teams that they came from. Hey, we make mistakes here on the podcast. These guys did play in SAC season number 1. Mark them down as a team that has potential to make beta bracket as well. Maybe I'll have more to say about Combo if they pop off this weekend. Low Life is signing up for this tournament. Who is Low Life? No, don't say me. That's rude. That's very rude. How dare you? Instead, this is players made up of Otakos and Mark from the Jelly Squids. I see you, Mark, a fellow Splatling player. And correct me if I'm wrong, are some of these players going to Low Tide City? Maybe that's just wishful thinking that, or maybe I'm getting Mark confused with somebody else. Don't know. Low Life. Keep an eye out for these guys. Now it's time for our 2 crab teams. First off, CRAB, another one of these acronym teams. What does CRAB actually stand for? My best guess is Carly's Really a Boy. That would be my best guess. It's the only thing that really seems to make sense to me. So we'll see how they do in this tournament. Not to be outdone is Crab Rave. Now, Crab Rave has a team that I recall from the 5-9 at Falco tournament a couple of seasons ago. And to their credit, Crab Rave had their name before Splatoon 3. So before Crab Raves is what you see in the grand finals of every single tournament that happens so far. Crab Rave was having raves with crabs before there were actually crabs to have raves with, so I wanted to give them a little bit of a shout out. The last team I'm going to talk about in this section is the reigning Little Squid League champions, Wave Break. Now, Little Squid League champions have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder when they play in Lowing. Yes, winning Little Squid League is a great accomplishment. Hats off to them. It wasn't easy for Wave Break to do that. Can they find a way to make Alpha Bracket, though? Because we have seen last year, if you won Little Squid League, you became an Alpha Bracket contender overnight. Is Wave Break going to be one of those teams? It's tough to do that. There's a lot of monsters in this tournament up ahead of them, and surviving the round of 32 is extremely difficult, as a lot of strong teams will tell you that played it in the past. But we'll still be keeping an eye on Wave Break, as everybody will. When you win a tournament, you get some eyeballs on you, whether you win it or not. I believe we got a highlighted message. It actually stands for Cephalopods ranting about ballistics. Oh, well, that makes a whole lot of sense. Yeah, thanks, Epic Pikachu, for clarifying that. I'm pretty sure it should stand for Carly's Really a Boy. I don't know who Carly is or why their gender really matters, but it seems to just roll off the tongue. Boom. By the way, Triton, speaking of CCA, I've mentioned this to Emil, I'm sure, but the next time we have a Ludi seating, another Ludi seating council, we need to make sure we got somebody from the CCA a part of that. But by the time you get to the college teams, you're just so burnt out on all the things that you're looking at, and it's hard to kind of like, okay, are these guys really like Div 10? Or are they really Div 8? It's hard to like justify where the college teams are because they don't play anything but other college teams, so it's hard to kind of like rate them all. But we need to have some like CCA representation on the Ludi Seating Council. That would make a lot of things a lot better going forward. Ugh. It happens though. It is now time for the top 10 teams. First off, my honorable mentions here. I mentioned in my tweet there's a lot of big name teams that are not in my top 10. This is pretty packed. Yes, we banned a lot of teams from this past low ink, for this upcoming low ink. That doesn't mean there's still, I see a lot of people on Twitter, I don't even know who's playing anymore. I don't know who to root for. Do you only pay attention to 2 teams? Out of the 180 teams that play in this tournament, do you not pay attention to any of them? Like, what? Here are the teams you should be paying attention to that I don't have in my top 10. First off, right off the back, Black Komodo is not in my top 10. They're in my honorable mention. Yes, I have been keeping an eye on Div 5. I know you guys think all of Div 5 should be banned. You're insane. I have been keeping an eye on Black Komodo. I saw them threaten NKT Definitivo. I think there's other teams that are higher above them at this point based off of what they've done in actual low ink. Photic Zone. I really want to find an excuse to put Photic Zone in my top 10, and I just can't. Their roster is really, really freaking good, and I get annoyed whenever Toasty's on the opposite team of me, except I do get excited when they're not using Chargers. So it's like, okay, cool, I can actually play the game. But Photic Zone just don't have the results to justify being above some of these other teams, even though they got the roster that's capable of doing it. Team Biscuits probably should be in everyone's top 10, but they're not going to be in mine. I just want to see them do it again. They had a great tournament last month. I want to see them do it again. And I know they've been kind of consistent 4-2 team, but they're just a team I want to see do it again. And you should be changing your name to Team Cookies because the biscuits you're presenting are not actual biscuits. Those are cookies. Come on. KO Calamari is in my honorable mention section as well. I think I just don't respect KO Calamari. I think that's the issue. I think I just haven't been giving them the credit that they actually deserve because I feel like they're really good. I just haven't been paying as close enough attention to them to where I feel like I can justify putting them above other teams that I have been paying a lot more attention to. And I don't really have an excuse not to be paying attention to KO Calamari. So sorry, but I know you guys will definitely get the job done. The last team in my honorable mention section is Bash. I misread that. It is Tenta Shrimp Cocktails. In fact, if I have to have a number 11 spot, which I'm officially having a number 11 spot this time around for a reason I'll get to in a second. But my official number 11 spot is the Tenta Shrimp Cocktails. Now, the Tenta Shrimp Cocktails went 6-0. 6-0 in Swiss stage in December. And that's a tougher Swiss stage to go through. When you have only 2 Swiss groups, you can't divide up the monsters as much as you can when there's 4 Swiss groups. You can't hide anybody in a 2 Swiss group. You got to play a bunch of monsters. Tenta Shrimp Cocktails did that and they went 6-0. They forgot that this was a 2-day tournament though and didn't really show up on Sunday. I believe they got I think they made it to losers round 2, but I just they're in that same kind of team biscuit category. Prove it again, and do it consistently across both. I mean, I think they're capable of winning. What they showed on Saturday, they're capable of winning. I just want to see them be good on Sunday. It is now time for the official top 10. Now that we got through that. Number 10. I don't know what to think of Splat-A-Lot imbeciles. They keep underperforming in low ink, especially in the top 32 era that we are in right now. And they keep claiming that they can't get their official roster to play all the way through on both Saturday and Sunday, which is why they keep getting Delta bracket like they did in November, or not even qualifying for Sunday like they did in October. So why am I having this team in my top 10 over all those other teams that I mentioned in the honorable mention? I think they've finally righted the ship. And I think they finally found a way to get the roster that they want to have for this tournament. They're currently 3-0 in their Ludi group with a big matchup against Red Pacific that I believe got skipped in week 3 and will have to be made up at some point. And they've shown flashes of greatness in low ink before. They just have to have the roster that they claim to have and then show us who they really are. Because when they are that team that we think they should be, they're definitely contenders to win the whole tournament. Number 9. You know how hard it is to find 3 players at your school that are good enough at the video game for you to be competitive in low ink. When you look at the high school teams that play, they got like 1, or if you're lucky, 2 competitive players that go to your high school, and then 2 other people who I'm convinced they just bought the game for them. Just, here, you be the 4th, we'll just carry you all the way through this high school league. But college, you got more people to choose from, but still 4 players that can compete at a college level is not really something we see. Well, that's why we praise ITAP and UCSD esports for how good they were. But you guys don't realize there are countless other college teams that are, in the grand scheme of the whole competitive thing is concerned, they're not that good. That alone is why I feel pretty good about the Night Sharks of University of Central Florida, though, and why I feel like they are one of the more impressive college teams we have ever seen. But they could be the first college team to actually win low ink. Guerrilla Tactics had some UCSD players on it. ITAP came close several times, knocking on the door, but could never fully open it and take that next leap up into greatness. The Night Sharks might be the first college team to actually pull that off, though. It might not be this month, but the Night Sharks are a team that we all need to be talking about more and more of because they are getting the results racking up that are deserving of it. Look for them to make some noise this weekend. Number 8. Alliance of the Dam is in that MyLag Paradise category back when they were playing consistently at low ink, where they're just here. I mean, yeah, they're a strong team. They always make alpha bracket, but they always just find ways to kind of hang around in the top 10 on Saturday or Sunday, or find a way to just kind of meander through alpha bracket. I mean, they're just there. They're like your baby blanket. It's always there. It's always comforting. You can't imagine going through the night without having Alliance of the Dam in your alpha bracket. It's just this bread and butter that they're always there. That's not a good spot to be in, though, if you want to be a team that's continuing to win it. They made 3rd place in October. The biggest low ink ever. Alliance of the Dam finished 3rd place in it. They haven't reached that same kind of peak in November or December since. So this is a good opportunity for Alliance of the Dam to kind of show us who they really are. Are they going to be one of those teams that just kind of sits there in alpha bracket, or are they going to start being that legit contender again? They're always going to be in the top 10 because they're that good. I just don't know if they're that damn good yet. Hi, Carrot. Number 7. I am considering a segment where I do my top 10 teams who ended up underseeded in Ludi at some point. And I know a lot of you, oh, you're going to talk about me. I was underseeded. No, come on. Some of you were legit underseeded. Not because you were actually underseeded. It's just you didn't have the results to prove it. I don't think this team was actually underseeded because at the time, their results screamed that they were a Div 6 team. But after they got that Div 6 seeding, June has been ripping everybody apart. It has been proving that they're a little bit stronger than the rest of Div 6 right now. June is currently 4-0 in their Ludi Div 6 group, where they are a record 20 wins and 4 losses per games in those 4 that they played, with 1 more yet to go. And they're coming off a low ink where they turned a very competitive beta bracket into an absolute joke. They went 14-0 per games, winning the last beta bracket, including a 3-0 sweep over now banned Crimson Wave, who swept them in Swiss on Saturday before then, which is a major reason why June was in beta bracket to begin with, and a 6-0 sweep over Banana Basics. 2 3-0 sweeps there. Now, beta champs always do fantastic in the next month of low ink that they play in. I feel like June is going to be the strongest beta champ we have had in a long time, though. They looked really, really good in that beta bracket last month, and they've been dominating their Ludi group. I feel like June's going to get the job done here. I probably got them underseeded at number 7. Man, I just keep screwing those guys up. Number 6. Dive, another one of those teams with an exclamation mark in their name. Dive was way better than they were advertised to be last month. They have played in low ink for a while. Was a beta bracket regular like back in 2021, maybe early 2022. Whose DMs are you telling to check, Harry? But we're talking about Dive right now. Dive was never, whatever it happened, the Dives just kind of fell off the earth. They just stopped playing. I think they went off into the mountains and did some like meditation training to find their true self. And they really found their true self last month. They got 5th overall in a low ink with over 90 teams in it, beating teams like Photic Zone, Opium, and Rolling Squids along the way, as well as trading results with VC. I don't have much else to say about Dive. Normally, with a team that's in the position that they are, coming back after a long hiatus, the question is always, is this the new standard for them, or was this just a one-off thing? I think with how well they performed last month, they kind of proved that is the new standard going forward, and that's why I got them in my top 6. Number 5. Aquatic Vanguard is about to kick off against Waterfront in Ludi, I believe, in the next 4 minutes or so. We'll go raid Falco after this, and we'll all go watch it together. I fully expect them to win that one, though, because they've been kicking butt in their Ludi group all season long. I fully expect them to do really well in this month's low ink as well, possibly win the whole thing. I have no basis to go off of with that claim other than the fact that they are once again here. They have shown flashes of being really a really good low ink team, and they have some good results to back it up. This hasn't really been consistent. They finished, I believe, top 3 in a low ink before. There was that low ink, I believe, in November, where they went undefeated up to winners quarterfinals of Alpha Bracket before they finally took their first loss, and that was a single limb, so they only took 1 loss and were gone from the tournament. But their problem has always been consistency, and the good thing I can say about Aquatic Vanguard is they have finally made Alpha Bracket in back-to-back months. You would have to be a fool to put them at number 1, but they do have number 1 team talent. They always have. They just have to find a way to get everything gelling at the same time and finally win this tournament. Aquatic Vanguard is at number 5. Number 4. Red Pacific didn't have the most impressive run through Alpha Bracket last month, getting knocked out of losers round 3 to Team Biscuits. But it doesn't matter. They're still consistent and good. So consistently good. Also, they are dominating their Ludi group in Div 5 right now, going 3-0, and only dropped a total of 2 games in those 3 matches so far that they've played in, with a key match coming up against the Imbeciles yet to come. They consistently make Alpha Bracket. They consistently take care of business on Saturday, landing them a spot in Alpha Bracket. And they are, in my opinion, the most consistent team of all the teams that have signed up for Low Wing. That is a great situation to be in, because when you are constantly consistent, all it takes is just one Sunday for everything to align. The stars work out in your favor. You have a ooh kind of run, and you just win the whole tournament. So Red Pacific, I don't see a reason why they shouldn't be in anybody's top 5 for the foreseeable future until they just completely screw up Saturday and fail to make the bracket they're supposed to be in. Red Pacific, did I call them Red Sun again? That must have been, I think I do that every single month. Okay, don't brush. Don't brush. Oh my gosh. Who hired you? Man, it wasn't me. When we saw your application to be in Low Ink, I said, to hell, there's no way we're not letting brush in here. And JPEG was like, let's give it a shot. It couldn't be that bad. Number 3. Ink in the system has shown they are good enough to win Low Ink with the results they have racked up so far in Ludi, minus a 5-4 loss to Intimidation Factor. Who isn't here? Where is the Intimidation Factor? I want to see them play in Low Ink again. In the results they've racked up in tournaments outside of Low Ink, such as the most recent Proving Grounds, where they were playing as the team called Goldfish Enjoyers. You'd think I didn't catch you guys. I saw you. I saw your match because we put you on stream and it took you 10 minutes to get into the lobby. I was like, oh, but I saw you guys. And I saw you guys pop off in that Proving Grounds tournament as well. Enough to get banned from Low Ink? No. Could you make the argument for them to be banned from Low Ink? I guess anybody could. But they're definitely a top 3 team that I have here and a chance to win this tournament. What they have yet to prove, though, is that they can rack up results on Sunday in Low Ink. Yes, you can say that about pretty much everybody in this tournament up to a certain point, but they did not look good at all when we did the top 32 formats and lost in round 1 of losers last month in the double elimination format. I don't know if they have like roster issues on Sunday, but what I can say is that they will 100% be in top 32 this Sunday. They will take care of business on Saturday. They just have to figure out how to bring that Proving Grounds mentality to Sunday, and they'll win this tournament. Number 2. This is a team that if you didn't do your research, you're not going to have in your top 10 at all. But this team you could very easily make the argument for being the number 1. But do you guys remember what happened last month? The incident of December 2022. A team made it all the way to winners finals, only to drop a few seconds into game 1 when one of their players had an internet outage. And by that point, it was too late to get any kind of subs going in for that one. Because of that, they had to drop from the tournament, and it caused all kinds of issues. Winners finals had to be canceled. Losers finals had to be canceled, and losers semifinals, which was already underway, got morphed into a best of 3 semifinals into a best of 5 losers finals after the first game of that set had actually been played. So somebody dropping in winners finals is a big deal. It's a huge fiasco. That team was named VICI. They're not back this month. However, players from that team are back on the appropriately named Revenge Tour. The team called Revenge Tour. They might have some roster issues, though, and this is why I said the Tinja Shrimp Cocktails are my official number 11 team, because I honestly don't know if Revenge Tour is actually going to play or not. Last I checked, they had one of their players that did not have their splash tag in, and I don't know if they changed it in time or not. So yeah, I don't know if they're going to be able to play all the way through this or not. But if they do, it'll be the true conclusion we were looking for, because it looked like they were capable of winning the tournament last month, and it sucks that you have to drop because somebody's internet explodes. Some things are just completely out of your control no matter what you do. So it'd be a good finish to a tournament if they were to come back and actually win it. So keep an eye on Revenge Tour. However, with all that being said, they are not the number one team in the low ink, as far as I'm concerned. Number one, I would assume the most popular pick to win this month is Sanguine Seas. I didn't want to put them at my number one as well, but the more I looked on them, I was like, yeah, this is your number one team. Put me on the bandwagon with these guys. Yes, they're 5-0 in their Div 5 Ludi group because half of their Ludi group dropped. Literally 3 teams from the Ludi group dropped. But that's not Sanguine Sea's fault. You can only play the teams that are in front of you, and, they beat the teams that did actually show up to play. More importantly, though, back-to-back trips to Alpha Bracket. They look great whenever they play on stream. Last month, they beat Opium, Alliance of the Dam, Ink in the System, and Dive, all in Alpha Bracket last month, where all those teams I just listed are in my top 10 right now or outright banned from low ink because they're too good for the game, too good for the tournament. Also, they did finish technically third place last month and are the best team remaining. So if I had to pick a team to be the de facto number one while still being eligible underneath the skill cap for low ink, I think it's got to go to Sanguine Seas. They're the team that's going to win this tournament. As always, if I didn't mention your team, if I mentioned your team as the honorable mention category, if I didn't mention your team at all, if I said your team sucked, I don't think I said anybody sucked, but some of you do suck. You just don't realize it. I always offer apologies on Monday. The Monday episode of the Popcast, I will recap everything that happened in the tournament and everybody that popped off. And if I completely screwed up, I'll offer apologies to teams that deserve it. I don't always do it because I don't always have apologies to offer. Most of the time I'm right. Sometimes. But I want to give credit where credit is due. So if you think you deserve some credit, come back on Monday. Until then, if you'd like to be a part of the Popcast, feel free to reach out at my socials below. Twitter, Mr_Popgun, Discord, Popgun, hashtag 5882, YouTube at 25Popgun, Twitch at Popgun25, Anchor.fm/Popgun, TikTok at Mr_Popgun. Good luck this weekend. Let's go watch some Ludi sets. Make sure you get vaccinated. Make sure you sign up for Low Tide City while registration is still a little bit cheaper. And stay out of trouble. Try not to get arrested this weekend. That should be your goal. Somebody's going to get arrested this weekend. Don't let it be you. Don't break any laws.